Scale modeling as a hobby has a pretty unique and interesting history. For me, it's been part of my life for over 10 years, and some of my greatest childhood memories revolve around scale modeling, going to buy model kits, reading about subjects, and learning about how to model those subjects. You see, humans have always been interested in miniature. We have artifacts of miniature bison that have been carved by ancient peoples. But scale modeling as we know it really started in the 20th century. And before there were kits, as we know them today, we had wooden kits. First they started out with hardwoods, and then later on they went to balsa. Some kits just gave you the bare minimum of plans and blocks of wood. Others, like this monogram kit, gave you pre-shaped parts and sandpaper and pretty comprehensive plans, as well as pre-shaped superstructure parts for the ships. But some parts still required a whole lot of sanding to get something out of. Fast forward to the 1950s, and you get things like this. Plastic had come onto the scene. Revell was one of the biggest makers in the world. Preformed plastic parts opened up a realm of possibilities and introduced shapes that were never possible in wood. And while crude by today's standards, these old Revell kits, they really looked like the airplane. Today's model builders might complain about the lack of detail or the molded in decal locations, but for a kid in the 1950s, this was really something, even without paint, because it looked like the airplane. And with, a tube of glue and a couple hours on a Saturday afternoon, you could really get something out of it. Even the pilot figure here has loads of detail that were not possible with wood. And it remained like this until about the 1980s. Of course, the technology did get a little better in increments along the way, but nothing really happened for about 30 years. We could take a look at this Hasegawa. This is a reissue, but it's pretty indicative of kits in the 80s and the 90s. And that's the deal with scale modeling. Every 30 years, we get a quantum leap. From crude wood to pre-shaped parts, from wood kits to plastic kits, and from those early plastic kits to these modern kits that we enjoy so much today with scribe panel lines, opened avionics bays, hundreds of parts, comprehensive instructions, and comprehensive decal sets as well. So many details that sometimes I find myself omitting some of the decals and stencils and whatnot just from the mere fact of being overwhelmed. This is a hobby after all, and whatever makes it fun for you is what you should do. And this is how scale modeling remained. And this is really how it stands today in a way. We still can get kits, just standard plastic kits with comprehensive decals, and you can really make something out of it with a little work. Even in the East, where this OEZ kit came from, the plastic kits had a quantum leap. The old Soviet kits were pretty crude, even by American standards, and once the wall fell, OEZ started producing kits in Czechoslovakia, And this Sukhoi here, you can see it's very, very nice. In about 1990, this kit came out, and it was really the only 48 scale Sukhoi on the market. And then something happened. A small company in Czech Republic put out their very first photo-etched set. Eduard, started by a man named Stan and named after another man named Vlad. Eduard really produced the next quantum leap in scale modeling. Of course, today Eduard is responsible for many photo-etched sets, mask sets, and they're the biggest aftermarket producer for scale modeling. And Eduard has done it yet again. Eduard has introduced the next quantum leap 30 years after the first one with this new hybrid kit. It's a standard plastic kit, just with less parts. And here you can see the extraordinary detail that we're all used to by now. It seems as if a kit that would come out in 2025, if it didn't have scribe panel lines, the whole community would be up in arms about it. And this has been the status quo for about 30 years, and Eduard is once again redefining scale modeling as a hobby. Petite parts, you can see no flash whatsoever. And you can see there, CS199. This will have a reissue soon. The fuselage here is perfect. Just perfect. But that's not all. It has less plastic parts because a lot of them have been replaced by this 3D printed resin. 3D printing took off about 10 years ago, and it really latched onto the model community in the past 5 years. When I started this hobby, no one knew what 3D printing was. But by the time that the pandemic rolled around and everyone was indoors, 3D printing really latched onto this hobby, and it has taken hold. In the same way that photo-etched did in the 90s, 3D printing is redefining how we see scale modeling. Used to, you couldn't even dream about going to a show and competing in the top class without some photo-etched kit. And now 3D printing is doing the same. 3D printing offers a lot that photo-etched doesn't. For example, photo-etched comes flat, you have to bend it. If you mess it up, it won't fit. 3D printing has been designed from the outset to fit. All you have to do is clip it off the rafts, maybe clean it up a little bit, and use CA glue and glue it on the part. It offers a fidelity that plastic can't get. You can see these wheel bays are preformed with lightning holes. And another thing, this kit comes with a mask. No more hours with the Tamiya tape, trying to mask off the curves. And the instructions are comprehensive, even more so than the average kit from Hasegawa or Tamiya. You have 3 paragraphs of history on the airplane, full stenciling data, and 5 schemes with aircraft histories. You have colored instructions marking exactly where parts go, exactly how they're supposed to be oriented. It's much less vague than the old Revell Aurora monogram instructions from years past. So this is the next quantum leap in scale modeling, and I welcome it. But it's nice to remember that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those older kits. What do you think? Do you think Eduard has introduced something that will latch onto the industry? let me know in below.